Hola, good morning. Well, that's a weird shape on the screen. Let's see if I can change this. That's weird.
At least it doesn't have salt on it from sweat.
Oh,
That's
well,
good. That's good.
the screen is doing a weird thing.
Sodium.
Well, good morning. The screen is doing a weird thing, and I don't think I can change it now that I have gone live. So, good morning. 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 Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody else
We're live.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Promise Resource Network. This is Body, Mind, Spirit. Welcome to now. Oh, would you leave that open?
Cue the theme
Thanks.
song. Cue the theme
Thanks.
song.
I like the fresh air. It feels good in the sunlight. The chairs were a little too wet. Otherwise, we would be outside today. But the chairs are a little bit, they were a lot of bit wet. So I was like, I don't feel like getting a wet bottom today.
Well,
So how's everybody doing?
beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. Doing well. Doing good. Everybody's here. So that's a thing. Like we made it to today.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know, today's Thursday, the 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day. I just found out.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we were talking about how, hey Charles, good morning, Mama Jane is in the house. We were talking about just briefly how, like in school for St. Patrick's Day, you would get pinched if you weren't wearing green.
Right.
And I think that that's a really strange tradition now that I look back upon it, especially as a child. Patrick and I were sharing how it's just weird that most of us grew up where, if you weren't wearing green on St. Patrick's Day, then that gave people carte blanche to come up to you and pinch you. And it was usually pretty hard. It was never just like a bing bonk. It was like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
You're not wearing green. And that was normalized. It was so normalized and accepted. And it wasn't really ever talked about that, like, that was no consent, that people were non-consensually going into your physical and energetic space, touching you, right? Touching you without consent. And not only that, but normalizing it so much that it would be like laughed at and like, ha ha, you just got touched without consent and you're in discomfort and pain. And isn't that very interesting that we've normalized that and that we're still moving through that? Yeah, Alan,
Where
what's
did that
up?
come from?
Hang on.
Didn't come from.
I don't know. Hang on.
What are we normalizing?
Well, we had normalized touching people without consent.
Touching people
Without consent.
Touching people without consent.
Yeah.
On St. Patty's Day when you pinch somebody. Yeah.
I don't pinch people.
What's a tradition?
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want to pinch people. I'm glad his phone went off, so maybe I'm going to turn my phone on silent.
It was meant to be.
So I don't want to forget that. But like, that's a thing. We have, in our culture, we've normalized, and it's been this way since the colonizers came over, really. Like, it wasn't like this before, but when the colonizers came over, they started to non-consensually infringe upon people's space, whether it was their home or their physical body. And so I feel like, because we're talking about body, mind, and spirit, like, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that reality anymore. I don't want to be in the reality where people can go into your space, into your face, and touch your body without consent. And I see it all the time. I see it with children, and then it's very interesting because I see it with a lot of children. Like, go give them a hug.
Yeah, dang.
Like, were you all ever forced to do that as a kid?
Go sit on Santa's lap. Like, I don't even know. Like,
Yeah, who's the strange white dude in a weird outfit in the mall?
Take a picture and smile.
Yeah, like sitting on someone's lap. Were you ever so was anyone else ever forced to like hug someone, a family member, a stranger, forced to talk to someone as a kid?
Forced to talk.
You were?
Just to make me more outgoing. so that I moved every 2 years. So pushing me out into the public was a way of making me trying to make me more comfortable in my moves and making me friends.
Gotcha. How was that for you?
Actually, it was terrible. It was a trauma every time, and trauma still is moving today. The first time we moved that I was cognizant was from South Carolina to Taiwan. And my parents, I think they told me then and I was okay. When we got orders from Taiwan back to the States is when the trauma began. Is when they couldn't tell me until we were almost in the car going to the airport. Yeah. Because of my reaction. I still remember my best friend in Taiwan. She's a little Filipino. Never anybody else, but that little Teresa I remember. And so I grew up with that, moving every 2 to 3 years, and even as an adult with the addiction problem, caused me to move also.
Mm-hmm.
But every single time it is trauma. So drinking comes into the light, using comes into it is a terrible trauma for me.
So not only were you being traumatized by the move, but then you were made to smile and have a conversation and pretend to be something that you weren't.
Right.
That's another trauma. That's like a double layer in that.
Pretend to be something you weren't.
Mm-hmm. I'll pretend to be happy and talking to you, even though I really don't want to right now.
I was
You know?
scared to death when I walked into any classroom. Scared to death because I was always the new girl.
I
It
bet.
was terrible.
I bet. Thanks for sharing that.
Didn't even take it.
No, you're good. We're all here. We're all taking up time. I don't know if y'all noticed, but we're literally here, all of us, taking up time, moving through it. It's infinite.
Even my doctor at one time, like I know I've given consent because I'm not the provider and I'm a consumer, but I have the right to say you're touching me in a way that I'm uncomfortable. So setting those boundaries and communicating, saying like I prefer you not doing that, and letting him know these are my boundaries, and I prefer you not doing that to me. Like even like giving me a shot, allow me to do it. I'm in control. Like it's a communication. Like don't just come and just shoot me. No, I know this. I have the right to say no. This is how I want to get it done. This is being done to me. And you're a provider, so this is how I want you to treat me. Or this is hurting me. That hurts too much. And I can right to say this is pain. I need more pain medicine. I have a right to use my voice and set my boundaries.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Because the medical profession, especially, there have been so many studies done, especially psychological studies, that show that humans will obey people in a lab coat.
Yes.
That people will obey
Yes.
others in a uniform. As soon as someone wears that uniform, we're like, okay, I'm supposed to trust you. I have to do what you tell me to do. I have to accept all that you're telling me. Yeah, it's that respect for authority thing.
Unless you're a rebel.
Well, yeah, unless you're a rebel, right?
And
Unless you're an
everything
Aquarius,
you say, you go, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true.
right? Unless you're an
But you can't
Aquarius,
express it.
right?
You
And
can't express
so
it.
to be able to to be able to tell like a medical professional, right, wearing their lab coat that says Dr. So-and-so, hey, I don't like that. That's not comfortable. Can you wait a minute? Can you give me space? Can we talk about this further? Is really a reclamation of a lot of that power. Thanks for sharing that.
Treat me like a human being. I know I know you have many people to see, but I want to give me the right to be present in the moment. Because I'm here, I need your time. I only have a short amount of time with you, so if you're gonna give me a shot, you're gonna prescribe me medicine. You have to explain what you're giving to me, and I have a right to know. So if you're not going to, I'm gonna find somebody else who has the time to communicate to me. It's gonna impact my life and it's gonna hurt me. It's not gonna hurt you.
Exactly.
If I don't speak up, they don't know.
Exactly. And what were you gonna share?
Oh, it was kind of like a joke though, but it pertains to what we're talking about. Remember you were like, when you come out as a baby, like how the doctor like flips you over and like
Beat the
he's
crap
like,
out of you.
yeah, he's like, he said like when you come out as a baby, he's like he looked at the doctor, was like, do not touch me, sir.
Right.
Do not spank me on my bum. I will press charges.
Right.
Come on, all of this is cool. I'll cut it myself.
Do not hit me, doctor. I am not prepared for this yet. I'm just learning how to breathe air. Leave me alone. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, and we start off immediately being, when we're born. Hey, Roberta, how are you? When we're born, especially in the United States culture, it's not like this all over the world, but and not even close to being like this in indigenous practices, but like our culture will take the baby and like scrub it and clean it and all this stuff. And so like a lot of women are actually reclaiming the birthing process and actually like taking the baby and just holding it immediately and letting it kind of come to being in its own time, so it becomes this like, it starts off really sovereign, without being traumatized by like, injections. I mean, they even do that now with babies. Like they put stuff in their eyes and vaccinate them. And it's like, they're not even a day old. Like, can you give them a moment to build their own immune system? Because like their nature, like we can do this. Anyway, has anyone else been like, hey, Jennifer, Jennifer shares that your doctor's working for you. Yes, you have hired them just like any other professional that you hire to provide a service. So true. Yes. And so I'm curious, has anyone else ever had to kind of just like let people do stuff to you? Like when you're a kid, it was like, for me, it was sitting on Santa's lap, your uncle wants a hug, give him a hug, or like, and it would be like, or talk to this person. And I'm like, I don't know this person, well, be nice to them, talk to them. And I'm like, meh. It's like, this was really common.
And I think families sometimes feel like they have the right to invade your space. Like, we're family. No. You still have the boundaries. I don't care if it's my brother, sister, aunt, uncle. You can't just go, hey, no. You can't just hit me. Even for like spanking me, like as a child. Like I realize that people don't know things, but you don't have the right to hit me because I don't know something. You have the right to educate me on what I don't know. But me just hitting me is not a right for me. I mean, I know everybody has their own right to do something, but not right. Just like, that is not okay for me. Like,
I agree.
that's not correct. Even with a dog, I said with a child, like usually when they cry, you try to figure out what they're crying about. Instead of hitting them, you would hit a 3-month-old baby. You say they're crying for a reason. So why they're hungry and they're tired? Like, what is the reason? When you're an adult, they don't try to figure out what's wrong. And so I assume that I just want to stop it because it more so affects them. When you're a disruption to them, they want to stop it, but no.
Jane,
Yeah.
excuse me, when you're growing up, isn't it, at least in my family, it was in a real spirit of love. Nobody told me to go up and hug my uncle. I just couldn't wait to see him and give him a big hug. And same with my grandparents and all, because we didn't live there. It was a big deal when we got to see them. And I don't feel like I was ever forced. My mother pushed me into the classrooms, but what was her option?
Yeah.
For me to stay shy and at home and not like anybody and not be a part of, And so I can see the why behind the what. I mean, the same thing with my burns. She got me dancing at 3 years old. And, the crinoline that's on the costume, it itched me because there was a raw scar. It itched me so bad she had to take me out of it. But the deal was she was putting me in dancing because she was afraid that my burns would make me go into a shelf and make me go into a hole and not come out. And there's you can say that some of that was not right. It was not good for me. But with her, and they didn't have knowledge of today, put me into therapy at 3 years old. But it was all done with a lot of love and a lot of wanting me to be normalized because I was a little different. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that 9 times out of 10 actions are done in the name of what people think is the best.
Right.
Because we don't see that everyone is doing their best all the time. Sometimes people's best is really crappy and it hurts other people. But that still is the best. Like, that's what they got. That's with the knowledge that they have, with their experiences, and I think that that's a part of the healing of any trauma, is recognizing that however we receive the traumas, whoever gave them to us, they were actually doing their best. Ugh. And, when we can forgive that and have compassion around that and offer them grace and then offer us the grace of healing and moving through that, that's where we like really heal some deep stuff from a multi layered perspective. It's just not like, oh, I healed the trauma because I put the Band-Aid on it, but like, no, I'm gonna forgive the knife that cut me. I'm gonna forgive the person holding the knife. I'm gonna forgive the whoever made the knife. I'm going to forgive myself for having the body part that got cut.
I haven't gone as deep as the person that cut me or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where I need to go next.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, because everybody is doing the best they can. A lot of times it sucks, you know, because no one is going to do 100% everything in pure love. Like there is going to always be harm done. You know, when you take steps outside, you're stepping on ants. Like there's always going to be harm done,
Right.
right? Jennifer says, yes, we often forget to care about the hard things in others' lives until the symptoms of their pain impact our lives. So true. So here's something that I was thinking about. So, you know, we're talking about our body, right? And like it started off with the pinching. It's St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to pinch you. You're not wearing green. I didn't consent. That's so stupid. So then it kind of made me think about the mind, right? So it made me think about like, well, if people do things to our bodies without consent, right? Kind of like with the food that we eat, right? They're genetically modifying everything. They're putting glyphosate in everything, which is Roundup, which is basically a complete neurotoxin, endocrine disruptor, and it completely eats away at our gut. They put it in and on every wheat product ever here in the United States. Right? So we're not really consenting, but we kind of are because of who we're voting into the political arena, because the politicians are paid by the lobbyists and lobbyists are owned by the companies that put this poison on the foods. Right? So then it made me think about like, okay, this mind, like people, right, will also put things into our mind without consent. Meaning, so have you all ever seen when they put like subliminal messages
They're all in TV and movie. Like that's kind of why I don't watch a lot of TV anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I see stuff other people do. I'm like, did you see that? Did you see the background? Did you see that picture? What was on the TV? And they're like, no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like,
I've never believed this, so I've never seen it. You know, I think you have to have a belief to see it.
Well,
I mean,
both.
when I watch a show or a movie, the best way to say it, I actually watch the movie. You know, like, and like a lot of the kids' cartoons, I'm like, why are they showing? You know.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot, like, you know, I remember watching certain movies and then they would do like product placement.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody would be drinking and they would be drinking their Pepsi. Right. And that really wasn't so subliminal, but it was.
Yeah.
And then they found that they can do the same thing. So, you know, in film, it's screen that are put together, right? And that makes a film. So they found that what they could do is they could put images between these screen scenes so that when they're showing it, there would be a flash of, say, Pepsi. But your eyes wouldn't register it because it would be so fast. Right. So what it does, though, because it's still, that light wave is still coming in, the brain would still register it. So that's where it becomes subliminal. Because the consciousness doesn't register it, but it goes into the brain.
Do they still do that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's legal and all that?
It's legal because the companies are all owned by the same politicians and government and the system. It's all owned by the same people. Hang on, let me hear it.
There's been several shows like I've seen where they blur it out, like a brand or image, and I'm like, what? Is that the TV? No, it's blurred out, and I'm like, is it because they're not sponsored or they get sued?
Yeah.
Like a Pepsi can, it would be blurred out right where the little
right.
Logo is. Yeah, it would be. I'm like,
yeah, that's just like sponsorship and stuff like that.
Wow.
Roberta says they used to put a quick picture of Cokes in the drive-in pictures. Yeah. Now they're outlawed. Oh, interesting. Putting pictures of like Coca-Cola in the drive-in movies. Roberta was sharing that they would flash the images of Coca-Cola and that would drive up sales.
Yeah.
Because people would be like, I want a Coca-Cola.
I know, right? And they even pump the smell of butter in movie theaters just to make you want to go buy it. The concession stand is right there, and that's where they make the money off the concession stand, not even the movie theater tickets.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that.
They do it at Disney World.
And even certain smells and certain colors
make
you want to buy things. Like red makes you want to do things for Valentine's Day. gonna be red everywhere in the whole store, even before it even happens. Like in orange for October, they're gonna have all those are intentional because they know it's gonna get you in the spirit to want to buy, to want to do these things, and it's already it's promotion. It's a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, have you noticed that a lot of fast food restaurants the colors are like reds and yellows?
Yeah, like the golden arches.
Right. I think
What? Sorry.
a lot of like fast food restaurants, the colors are reds and yellows.
Red and yellow.
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A. But
And what does that do?
It makes us want to eat, and it makes us not only want to eat, but then it's a really interesting way that this message is, because it's like it creates an insane, like, I'm a hungry feeling, but also it increases the feeling of safety to eat there. Right?
wow. It's the new MSG.
It is, yeah, it really is.
There's a new restaurant that just opened here where I live. Maddie's Diner, and they have a big sign out front. Eat
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Now.
Arrow.
yeah,
And I think the word eat is in red.
yeah, yeah. Because it gets us to want to eat. Like if it said the word eat in purple, like it just doesn't, like, yeah, okay, whatever.
And even
If it's just a black and white sign.
and even the movies and news, there's so much violence. I think it desensitizes us to violence. We see it so much, and when we see it now, like it happens so much often. We don't. It's not something that it's like we should be aware of. That it's something that is a tragedy. That it's a life. Somebody's lost a life. And the pandemic even have made us. You just see the numbers. 3 million people have died, but it doesn't register us. We have to get our news from. And I said, now I don't understand why we are debating facts. Like, why facts happen to have an opinion about a fact? Like, why is that a debate that this is happening, that the sky is blue? No, it's not. Why does everything have to be conspiracy theorists? No, there has to be some truths around here that we can have a guideline to live our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel protected if I can't trust the news to tell me the facts.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting, like, just thinking about, all the stuff that we are exposed to that affects our thoughts, right? And it's all programming. It's just, that's what they call television programs.
Yeah.
Like, they are programming us to normalize everything that we see on TV. Every sitcom, every TV show, we're normalizing murders. We're normalizing infidelity. We're normalizing making fun of people. Like, we're normalizing, yeah,
Love marriage.
like, we're normalizing so many things in a way that we lose our own ability to make our own decisions, right? Because if everyone in this room is telling me that it's normal to wear 2 left shoes, like, Jane, everybody wears 2 left shoes and everybody in here is wearing 2 left shoes. Well, the way humans work is eventually I'm going to start to question my own belief.
Right.
I will question my own self. Like, well, I think that'd be uncomfortable, but everybody else is doing it and they're walking, and maybe it is cool, and I don't know. And eventually, after enough self-doubt lands, which is what the media does, it just perpetuates us in self-doubt. Don't trust yourself. You don't know anything. We know everything because we're wearing the lab coats, right? Then I have enough self-doubt to where I'm like, well, I guess I'll try the thing. I'll try these 2 left shoes, and I won't be comfortable in them, but I'll see other people telling me that they're comfortable. So now I'm going to even doubt my own physical comfort. I will start to doubt my own physical comfort. I can feel my feet are hurting because I'm wearing 2 left shoes, but everyone's telling me that they're comfortable. Isn't it great? I have 2 left shoes on. So I will override my own physical body's message that says, you're uncomfortable, this hurts your feet. And I will lie to myself and say, no, it's fine, it's good. No, this feels normal. This is good. It looks good. I'm cool, whatever. And so then I start to allow myself to be like brainwashed, and believe something that isn't even real. Um, Mama Jane is here and says, use common sense to figure what is reality or fantasy. Well, in common sense, it may not be common because if everything I've ever been told has been from an outside source, I haven't been taught how to actually have common sense, how to actually tap into my own internal truth. So like this common sense is it really common? Like if you grow up and you're not inundated with a lot of the system and the schooling and the forcing and the way, code switching and all these things that a lot of people do and have to do to even like fit in, right? Like then your internal locus of control, your ability to look inward and say, this feels right, this doesn't feel right, it's actually been so desensitized, which is what Roberta said. We become desensitized to ourselves.
Or how women are defined in this society, that even now still women are getting paid less than men, and it's okay. No one's debating that.
It ain't okay.
I know what you're
saying.
It's still, no one is saying that the woman is more it's just as valuable as a man. What is to define you by sex, or what a man can do, or what a man should be, or what a woman should be, or your capabilities? Because we see it. We see it on TV. We see, and that's how I get my information. If I see a woman president, what could that not be? Because I've never seen it before. This meaning can happen, but we are just seeing that women are now with reality TV. We see women are very emotional, but that's what they want us to think. That this is what women are. We're not monolithic. We're all individuals. There's a lot of capable women, but they only want us to see that. That's what they'll show.
Yeah.
That's true.
So Jane, if you were raised to say, think for yourself, look at the odds, put pros and cons down, and think for yourself. Now, my father would say I didn't have any common sense. I only had book sense, and I don't know what that means either. And of course, then I'm talking about training your brain. Alcoholism, drug addiction is just a mental, and so that's all I'm saying.
Well, no, I think the messages that we get are also so oftentimes from our parents. And again, they mean it all in love,
Right.
But, it's like someone saying, like, if you lost weight, you would be pretty.
Right.
Well, then, so that creates a belief system that no matter how much because I'm always going to have a weight.
Right.
Right. So no matter how much I weigh, I'm not going to be pretty because I can always lose more weight. Right. You're book smart, but you have no common sense. Well, that means that I'm only going to be valuable and worthy of anything if I read books. But I can't trust anything that I say, so now I'm only going to trust what's in these books. Parents will tell us some really messed up stuff and not even mean to, and they mean it in the highest good, or they'll be picking on us because they want us to grow past that. Right? They just don't know. What were you going to share, Patrick?
Oh, well, like I follow TikTok. I'm on TikTok, and I've been backing off of it some because I was watching like some mental motivational videos on YouTube, and it pretty much stated it was like a lot of that too, the programming and self doubt and stuff comes from watching, the TikToks and YouTube social networking period, like Facebook, Instagram, and I was like, I want to pretty much like be more in nature, like in the wild. So I want to get to the point where I can like feed animals out of my hand. They can trust me, know that it's safe, know that I'm not going to try and capture them or harm them. I would protect them if I have to, something like that. So I felt myself like being more calm and like in my thoughts, like. And I was at the transit. I think this was yesterday. I think I told you about the bird.
Yeah.
It was like this one little bird. Like the little birds. Like we call them the food. My mom used to call them the food line birds. They like made nests in the letters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the little sparrows. So there's like it's like an empty seat here, and there's like an elder lady on the end. This bird flies up out of nowhere. One of those birds, and he's like this, under the seat at first. Then he's like kept looking up at me like this, and I kept seeing his eye, and I'm like, what, are you hungry? Are you hungry? So I got the 2 for 4, 2 for 5, the sausage and cheese croissants from Burger King. So I was like, that's gotta be what it is, you're hungry. Like, how you knew I had the biscuit? But so I broke the little piece of the croissant and I threw it down, and he started eating it. Like, he tore it up, like he was like shaking it and stuff. And she's watching me. She's like, the elder lady's watching me. She's like, huh? Like, so then he finishes that. Well, the bird finishes it and comes up on top of the seat. And he's like just looking at me and like hopping closer and looking at me. He's like, you got any more of that stuff? And I'm like, well, yeah. It's like, I give him some more, he eats it. And like people are walking by, he's kind of looking at them and then looks at me and then continues eating. And I'm like, it made me feel like, okay.
Oh Lord, that's from a higher power,
Yeah,
right there.
and it made me feel even calmer.
Yeah.
Like it just made me feel calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like being in touch with nature like that. But what I'm saying is, if I can get away from or more people could get away from social media and
Technology.
yeah, and just probably like enjoy nature and stuff and animals, like the actual wilderness, we'd probably be like calmer.
Yeah.
It does do something to you, like you were saying. I think about the trees and outside and as opposed to seeing all of the social networking violence and things like that. And one more thing, I saw this morning. It was a guy doing like a skit on TikTok, and it was like back in the can't remember the exact date, like 1980s and 90s or something like that. Like it was a guy flipping out a window, like, and he was like, are you okay? Somebody help! Doing like sign language, And then as opposed to now, they're just filming with their phones and laughing,
right.
like you were saying, like they're just filming. They don't even call for help or ask if you need assistance.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's just almost like you said, what we've become.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's, so we've been so desensitized to our own inner truth that we don't know how to get back to it. Right? Because then we if we've been conditioned to go to the parents for truth, go to the church for truth, go to the media for truth, right? Because that's what's told me how to be my whole life. So it's like, if we take those away, well, then what? Because if I have no idea how to tune back into me, what feels good, what feels right, what's in alignment, what isn't, what's truth to me, the quickest way I feel is to get back in nature. Because nature doesn't lie. Like, nature just is nature. Life is just lifing itself. And when we're around that, we get the messages, we get the clarity, we get prayers answered. Like, you literally ask the universe, or whatever you want to call it, to like be able to be in the wild and be able to feed animals. You can't be more wild than Charlotte or like any urban area, right? Like when you think about like urban city living, like that's wild. Like, nature itself has a harmony, it has a cycle, it's in its own flow. But when you get into like city, it's chaos, it's wild, you don't even know, right? So you were literally in the wild and you were feeding an animal. Like, you got exactly what you asked for. I love that. But we'll get back into that truth, when we get back with nature, whether it's just watching the clouds or being with the tree or just stopping all of the outside input and just being with yourself and nature. And then we start to really kind of come back, so that when we go into a room and everyone's wearing 2 left shoes and they say, we all wear 2 left shoes here, that there's something that feels really off about that. And you're like, no, like, you can, and that's okay. But I'm not wearing 2 left shoes. Mama Jane says, if it doesn't feel good or right, don't do it or follow others. Yes, that's
trust your intuition. That's what God gave it to me for, to know what's right and what's wrong. I know what's inherently, I know what's right and wrong. But the society, or I said, sometimes if the people in my life would just allow me to just live, make my mistakes, grow naturally, make my own decisions, and figure out what I want to do, not what society tells me I should be doing, what a man should be doing, what I want to do, what my purpose is. That's how I find my purpose. When I'm outside, I feel like I'm connected with nature. Like I'm a part of y'all. But like, we're all one. Like you're me, I'm me. I need your oxygen. You help me breathe. I'm
Mhm.
grateful for you. I'm grateful for small things like the nature, the ground in my feet. Thank God
Mm.
I'm able to use my legs. I'm grateful for small things. I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for community. That's why technology. I can't have these conversations when I'm in my phone.
Yeah, that made me just think about kind of what Robin was mentioning as well, like the messages that we get from our parents, like whatever they have been or were in our life. That like, I love you, mom, and parents mess us up. It's what they do. It's just a part of the process. No matter what if the parent chooses A, B would have been better. If they choose B, A would have been better. Like there is no right or wrong. That's just the parent's job. It just is. That being said, you know, there are many parents out there that really did a big number on the kids. That like really messed a lot of kids up. That did big pains, big traumas, like real messed up stuff. And so then what made me think about it was what you two shared was like, we are children of the earth more than our parents.
True.
Right? Because like without the earth, like, nope. But if you took my mom and dad to another planet, like, I mean, I need to be here on earth to like survive. So, if we're children of the earth, then it's like, well, then wouldn't the earth itself have more of the answers? Right? Then, right?
It's consistent,
Yeah, it is so much more consistent. It's cyclical,
reliable.
totally reliable.
And could those, the earth answers be spiritual as well? Because the earth and its all atoms and all that stuff you said,
Is it what? No, what were you asking?
if can the earth, because the earth has all the answers, be somehow connected to a spirit that, that's more common, gives you more. The earth doesn't necessarily speak to me. I love it in the door, but it doesn't speak to me. There's something else, light or something, that speaks to me.
So what's the difference between spirit and the earth?
Nothing.
Right. It's like if I'll use the words, if I am a child of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am a son of the light.
Right.
I am a drop of the oneness. I'm a star in the universe, right? So I'm a part of this whole. The earth is also a part of the whole. So it's all part of that oneness.
I got you. I'm with you.
So then we can get answers from each other, right? Because you're also a child of God. I can get it from the earth. I can get it from the stars, the cosmos, from light, from sound. I can get it in a multitude of ways. But and none of those things, other than the potential human, has an ulterior motive.
Right.
Because if I ask your opinion, you're telling me your opinion based on your lived experience. Mm-hmm. So now you're biased because you've only lived your life. Mm-hmm. And you also are hoping that I feel better.
Yeah, true.
Right? So now you have an ulterior motive. You want me to feel better.
Right.
The earth doesn't have it. The earth doesn't care. Earth is just going to speak truth. Spirit is just going to speak truth. The stars are just speaking truth in their placement. That's why children are also really great teachers, because they're just being themselves. We just get to watch them and listen to them, and we're going to learn tons of stuff.
I don't care about Pokemon.
Like they'll teach us patience, and creativity and play and all those things. Freedom. They'll teach us freedom. And it's not because they're going to sit down and tell us, well, Jane, this is how you be free. And Jane, this is how you play. They just do it. Right? But it's the parents and the system, the media that tells us what to do.
Right.
All
right, so I had came up with some names for like the social sites, well, mainly Facebook, because it's not used for what it was originally created for, which is to find childhood friends, schools, lost, like get back into the family. So I called it Fedbook. Like, like people getting in trouble posting things, fighting,
information.
The Fed book.
Yeah, and then Instagram is Identitygram.
Oh,
like,
Identitygram.
They don't know who they are, like what truly are themselves. They're trying to be someone else. They get all this plastic surgery, additional stuff. So Identitygram and Instagram. those are the main two. So I stay away from it.
And there
Yeah.
was research done on
That's
Facebook where
accurate.
the creators of Facebook didn't know what it was going to be when they first created it, but now the creators, two of the original developers, now backed off because they realize what it's done to society, especially children. Like now you rely on it for your how you feel. Like if you post a picture, you want that instant gratification, and there's more to life than in my phone. It is. Life is out there.
Well, and then, kind of think about just, the body, the mind, and the spirit, right? So like if we're getting information that has an ulterior motive that wants us to buy the product or be in fear or whatever, right? To follow this way of thinking. And then, so thinking about all the information that is put out there for us to eat. They're like, eat this food, right? Wear these left shoes. But then there's also censorship, right? Where a lot of information isn't told to us. Kind of like you said when you were sharing that time that you moved, your parents didn't tell you.
Right.
And then when they did, it was kind of like, whoa, now I got to deal with this and it's too much. So censorship kind of does the same mind games, if you think about it. Like, oh, you didn't tell me about that, and now I found out?
Right.
And now it's like you get to deal with the double whammy of the fact that was now given on top of the, oh, and you've been hiding this. Do you not trust me? What's wrong with me? Now to go into self-doubt,
Right.
And so, when you go into the world of censorship, everybody uses the Google, right? So there was a platform called DuckDuckGo that was non-traceable. So they weren't censoring anything that was on there. You could search anything because Google is a money machine. They own stuff. So you can only, when you Google stuff, only what they want you to see comes up first. You got to really search. So DuckDuckGo was like the platform to use. DuckDuckGo just got bought out by Google. So now they're starting to censor what you can even search and look up. And I'm like, oh, so that's another form of like mind infringement is through censorship. And then it kind of goes back to, well, inner truth. I'm not going to censor myself because I can't, right? I can't hide anything from me. The earth doesn't censor itself. Right? You don't see a volcano that's like, never mind, I'll wait. I'll just wait until they're not looking and then I'm going to blow, right? Right? The volcano doesn't censor itself. It's going to blow when it's ready. And then we know it because we hear the rumble, we see it. Like, it is just being itself. Kids don't censor themselves until we make them censor themselves, and start to shame them for what they're doing and embarrass them and whatever. But like, it's the censorship. So I share all this so that we can really have discernment on where we're getting all of our information. And does it really resonate in that deep sense? Because then it goes into the spirit, right? We're body, mind, spirit. So it goes into the spirit. Like, how do you even know? You mentioned intuition. My mom called something common sense. It's this deep resonance of truth. Like when you were with that bird, you were feeling a way that words, you were feeling good. Now that wasn't it. You were feeling connected. Yeah, but that was like, it's an indescribable feeling when you're connected with this yes, right? And that's that connection with spirit. And you can't censor that feeling, right?
I'm avoiding saying this because I think you're going to sick of me, but
nobody is sick of you. Wait, is anybody sick of Robin?
No.
Thank you.
I have a baby kitty cat.
Aww.
And she was feral. I have two that are feral. One still is, and one's not. And the one that's not, her name is Tiggy. And she didn't jump on the bed. Now she jumps on the bed. She didn't come see me tonight. And when I have been meditating twice, because I lay down, that cat has come up and put its little face in my neck and purrs and purrs and purrs. And then I sometimes rub her. Because I feel like that purring is the energy of love. And I just think that's what she's saying, And it's the most wonderful feeling in the world to have this cat purring in your ear. That's all.
And another
And you
thing,
can't even describe that wonderful feeling.
No.
It feels like whatever it is that you're doing is real. It's more real than anything else. And yet there's no way to prove the realness of it. It's this real feeling. There's this depth to it that is indescribable, that if it happens again, if you feel that in any other way in your life, then you know that that's a good thing for you, right? If you are getting ready to walk into a store for the first time, or a business or a place for the first time, and you feel that feeling of that, like, oh, that cat is purring on me, that feeling, then you know you are about to walk into something, right? Because you had that feeling before. It's kind of like if you're getting ready to walk into a door and all of a sudden everything in you goes, oh, I don't like it, I don't like it. But then everybody's telling you, no, just go, just go. Now then you're not using discernment, right? You're like following the herd. So being able to tap into those feelings of spirit, of your spirit, greater spirit, whatever that is to you, that feeling of yes, and being able to follow that through your life. So that when we watch something, say on the media, or we hear information on the media, but we're like, that doesn't feel all there. Something is missing. Or they tell us all the information and we're just like, I don't know. I don't hate Russians. Like, they're people over there. Like, I don't hate Russians. I don't hate people that live there.
or there's sometimes
Wait, hang on. And then it's like, so recognizing that offness is something that's not in harmony with nature, with spirit, with light, with love, with that oneness of this whole, and using that as the common sense.
Yeah, like sometimes when I take medicine and I'll see on the TV, like, if you've taken this medicine, I apologize, you can be up for a settlement. Like, this is supposed to be helping me, and I don't want a settlement. I want to be healthy. Money's not going to cure me from having to go through what I would go through. Like, I had to go through a lot. I feel like I was in the hospital for 9 months because I was taking a medicine that really harmed me. But the thing that got me through was a therapy dog there. She came in every day. I was there, and we couldn't communicate, but she would just lay her head on my bed and watch. But I was just, wow, like what we had is just ridiculous. I was like, she said she would sit there for hours, and even time I would be sleeping, and she'd be sitting right there, like, and she would know when I was in pain, and would just lay her head right on the bed, and that's who got me through. And she didn't want anything from me. I didn't want anything from her. Her presence there just helped me be stable and know that I'm okay.
You said that there wasn't communication. I disagree with that. And I say that because, do you feel like when you're with your cat, there's a communication? You're communicating with that bird.
We could be vulnerable. We can both let our guards down. I'm not gonna hurt you, you're not gonna hurt me.
Yeah, like, we communicate with each other all the time. Like if I look at Henry and I don't say anything and I smile, I just communicated something, Like, so we have so many ways that we communicate.
Yeah.
And especially with things in nature, anything natural, the flowers tell us things all the time, the way they open up, the way they close, whatever. Bees tell us things all the time, and it comes in all these different ways, but the communication is there. And it's the communication of the heart, of the spirits that are in there. So it's like the spirit of the bird and the spirit of you are communicating. That's why you understood it. The bird didn't turn to you and say, so that looks yummy, can I have a bite? Right? But he did.
Yeah.
Because your spirit and his spirit were like communicating, right? Roberta's sharing that her cats are not cuddly, but she does give love to her. So, I guess, we're coming up on spring. We kind of talked about that last week. So tomorrow's a full moon. Sunday, yeah. And it was actually like right at midnight. So it's like tonight, tomorrow morning. So if you're out, you can look at it and see a big full moon. And, we've got the spring equinox on Sunday. So it'll be the balance of light and dark, because it's when the day and the night are even times. And then we'll be going into like even longer days,
Yes.
like even longer days.
Longer.
Like more light.
I like
So many
that.
more things will start to come out, shine, be different, unveil themselves, show up. So, I feel like it's a really great time because everything that we experience in nature, we also experience in the human form. Meaning, everything in spring is blooming, blossoming, new stuff is being shown. So to me, that says that we're also going to get new stuff being shown on the media. Oh, but look over here and look at this, and there's a war here, and there's a distraction here, and look at this, and Bitcoin, and whatever, right? So I feel like it's a really great time to really tap back into that internal locus of control, internal discernment, connecting with those feelings of like, this is a yes, this is a truth, this is my truth, this is the truth of God, or the truth of love, or the truth of oneness, or whatever resonates, and go back to that truth. And if something is not in alignment with that truth, just turn it off and go back to where your own truth came from, whether it's internal, whether it's being in nature, whether it's in prayer, meditation, dance, being creative, whatever those things are, to reconfigure the body, the mind, and the spirit so that it's not being filled with what other people are telling us we should do to our bodies, to our minds, and with each other. Because I feel like we're going to be coming into a time where it's going to be like, turn your back on these people, turn your back on these people. We're going to be righter than anyone else. It's the way it's been. I just see it being more.
Yeah. Already on the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you feel that too?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been on my way.
Yep. So it's a matter of just
Tell
really.
me again what you're feeling.
Pardon?
Would you say it again? What you're feeling? What they're feeling?
Basically all of the stuff that's been happening around, like, we don't help these people, we only help these people, look over here,
Right.
War, fight, judge these people, only help these people, don't let these people in, but we help these people. Like, all of that stuff, I feel like is going to amplify and get a little bit more at the same time that there's going to be more beauty, more unity, more coming together, more conversation, more community, more permaculture, like people actually feeding and nourishing themselves.
Okay.
So it's just going to be which program am I going to follow? Am I going to follow the one that is of the earth and of my highest self, or is it going to be on a screen? Choice.
It's like, well, right now what's going on, I think it is more division than unity. Like our what is our slogan in America? It's like united we stand, divided we fall. It's more division than uniting going on. So that's what
I feel that is exactly what they're showing. Divide. They say that we're more divided now than ever. And in some ways we are, because people are starting to see the differences. They're starting to see, oh, these people have been controlling these people. So then we start to see that division a lot more. That being said, I think people in reality, what they're not showing on any media is that we are actually coming together.
Right.
We're coming together because that's what we do in times of hardship, right? When times are hard, we come together. Well, now it's kind of a hard time. It is. It's just a really weird, hard time, but it's like things are easier now than ever, but they're also way more difficult than ever. Right? So that's its own division.
I think they do come together when things get so miserable.
Yeah.
That the only thing you have is to come together.
Exactly. So we can just come together now. Like, why do we don't have to wait for like bad stuff to happen. Like, we can go ahead and like nip it in the bud, and so that when the bad things happen, we know that the volcano is erupting, and we don't have to worry about the news telling us about the volcano's going to erupt. It's going to erupt. It's going to do it. It's going to do it. It's going to do it. It's going to do it for 5 years. And keep us all on this edge of the volcano's going to erupt.
Right.
And then afterward, them talking about how horrific it was. It's just so bad. Look at the rubble. Look at the rubble. Look at the rubble. Look at the rubble. As opposed to like, yeah, but we can like continue living, right? So it's just come together now.
We survived.
Yeah.
The pandemic should have showed us there should have been a reset on everything. For me, the pandemic was a reset of my life.
Dude, we survived yesterday.
We should, but also the pandemic showed me what I value. It changed my values and my perception and how I want to be more present in my life.
Totally.
And be able to be present in nature, present in everything, and present in the moment.
Yes, everything can bring us together with ourselves or with more. What were you going to share?
When they remember the thing that people say when they tell you not to panic, that's when you panic.
Stop crying.
Right? Yeah, don't feel your feelings.
Well, I was just thinking that, and this is funny, you made me laugh so much, that the media goes over and over and over and over and over and over the same thing for 3 days to a week to a month, over and over the same thing. You would think there has to be something else doing,
Yeah.
another edge to it or another
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And that's brainwashing for sure.
Yeah, because the media won't get the sponsorship if they go on the 5 or 6 o'clock news and they go, well, so people got together today and they were celebrating this thing called life. They were eating together and they were sharing stories of good times.
Oh my goodness.
The end, right?
Oh.
You know, like, and then, and the thing is that, people would have at first, people would have a hard time looking at that because people would compare their own lives to that. Right? But if I see something horrible on the news, then my life feels better.
Yeah, it does.
Right? So it gives us a false sense of peace as opposed to an internal feeling of peace amidst chaos. It's just like, only in comparison.
Yeah, like America is the greatest country in the world. I was like, at least I'm not living in Africa. Never even been there before, so I don't even know what their reality even is. But I feel like America has made me feel like that. Because they say America is the best country in the world.
That's what they say.
But America is all America.
That's what they say.
North America, South America. That's all America. It's not just the United States.
Yeah.
It's all America.
Yeah. So trust your own internal truth, and if that's not available to you, whenever that is, my invitation is to go back out where the truth can always be found. The truth is always in the earth. Like, she's always going to have the answers. Like, she doesn't lie. She's got her cycles. She has no ulterior motive. Look up at the stars, see how tiny you are compared to everything else out there, and just put it all into perspective that it doesn't really matter. And that you can follow your own higher calling, your own truth, what resonates in your heart, and that all the old programs are just that, they're programs.
Sunday's the full moon?
Sunday's the equinox.
Okay.
So spring. First day of spring is Sunday. Tonight at midnight is the full moon. So,
I go out all the time because I think I'm getting some kind of energy.
well, yeah, I mean, it's a light. It's a light that's,
Light.
it's sunlight being refracted off of a big floating object in our space zone. So, you're getting some light. But yes, I feel it. It feels good. It's fun to stare at. So, I want to thank y'all for being here, and enjoying St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for not pinching me without consent. If you want to be pinched, I invite you to ask for it before anything, really. I know. I feel like
If you want to be what?
pinched,
Pissed?
pinched. If you want to be pinched, ask for it. I'm not saying I'm going to pinch you. I'm not going to be the one to pinch, but so maybe somebody else is into that.
Thank you for a great class.
Thank you for being here, y'all. I love you so much. I'm so happy that y'all are here with me today. I'll see you next week. Thank y'all for being here. I'll see you next week.